My name is Hayden Baker and welcome back to Hayden Cinema, and today we're going to be talking about the TV show, The Studio. So Seth Rogen's new TV show, The Studio, dropped today on Apple TV, and I've heard a lot. There was a lot of early buzz. A bunch of people seen it at South by Southwest a couple weeks ago, and I heard that this was like a invention of comedy, that this was really smart and really funny and brilliant in every way, but that it's also like inside baseball, that if you don't know how studios work or how movies are made or TV shows are made, or if you don't know the things that have happened in the past and the Harvey Weinstein situation
on making the next Rosemary's Baby or Annie Hall or some great film that wasn't directed by a pervert.
Turns out perverts make great movies.
They really do.
and you will not understand this show, and it will just completely flatline for you. But real quick before we get into it, if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and hit your notification bell. That way you stay up to date whenever I post. So basically the premise for The Studio is that you have Seth Rogen playing Matt Remick, and he is getting promoted to be the new studio executive and rep, and he's worked at this company for years, and this is literally like his dream position, and there's a lot of hilarity and chaos that ensues, and there's a lot of obstacles that he has to come over, and he eventually becomes exactly what everyone hates a studio executive for. But being on the inside of it, you understand why he becomes who he becomes. And again, this is only in the first 2 episodes, so there could be a bigger character arc that I just haven't seen yet, and it's kind of hard judging these 2 episodes like episode by episode review because you don't have the full story yet. But I actually thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Again, I thought it was going to be a lot of overhype with how funny it was, and I mean, there really hasn't been anything too funny since like Ted and We're the Millers, like in 2012, 2013, 14. So the fact that there was this big buzz about this coming out, and I do enjoy Seth Rogen, I was really excited to watch this. So right off the bat, the first episode was actually really surprisingly good and really funny too. Like I said before, he has been promoted, and this is what the show is about. So with his promotion, his first task, in order to keep his job that he loves and wants to have so badly, in order to keep that job, he has to complete this task of finding a director, and he has to greenlight a film about the Kool-Aid Man. Griffin Mills, played by Bryan Cranston, who I absolutely adore and have adored since Breaking Bad. He gives off a really great performance here, and it's very satirical, and it's kind of exactly what I imagine a head would look like, a studio head. But him giving Seth Rogen this task is just really funny, and the reason he's given this task is even better. Also, there are some really good cameos in the show too, and in the first episode alone, I mean, there are some zingers, and one that's actually in the trailer, so it's technically not a spoiler, but the episode kind of surrounds Martin Scorsese, and that was just super funny and also super weird seeing him in a situation like this and in a show like this and playing a character instead of being behind the camera. But because the show is basically behind the camera itself, it felt very natural. Now, as of where I stand on Seth Rogen, I actually am quite a fan. There are a couple of things that I don't really care for, and he definitely has that like niche character that he plays in almost everything, and it's basically the same character. But as far as all of his work goes, this might be the funniest that I've seen him in since maybe 40-Year-Old Virgin. Another thing that this episode does great with is that it kicks off immediately, and it's very fast-paced. There's not really a slow beat in the entire show, and it immediately grabs your attention. And as soon as the episode ends, it leaves you on enough of a grip that you want to go to the next episode to see what happens, or to see how the story is pushed forward, or if it's something that you can kind of just pick up, spontaneously just pick random episodes and watch it like that. And I think that each episode so far does stand very well on its own. So if you are well knowledgeable around what happens in studios and everything about the making of these films, and you do enjoy Seth Rogen and his comedy, then you will definitely find a lot of humor in this, and I have no doubt in my mind that you will be thoroughly entertained, especially within the first episode. And now we move on to episode 2, that is called The Warner, and this episode is basically an entire one-shot sequence. Now there are obvious cuts, and it's not trying to be a one-shot the entire episode, but majority of it actually is. And the film that they're filming in the show is also being shot on a one-shot. Now, this actually, in my opinion, might be the better episode. I'm not quite sure. I might have to rewatch them. But I can confidently say that this was the more entertaining episode. And maybe because the first episode is just a setup. Typically, the first episode of TV shows aren't the best. But if they're able to set everything up really well, then they're easy to go back and watch. As far as episode 2 goes, it was just hilarious all the way through. And there wasn't a bad beat in it. And the plot of this episode being that the reason he got the job was because Catherine O'Hara's character, Amy, was previously in his position and she was let go by Bryan Cranston. And so he is trying to get this film up and running and going, and he has to go visit her. There's really good comedy within their interaction, and Catherine O'Hara just freaking out and screaming and doing the same thing that she does in Home Alone or in Schitt's Creek. She does here.
Cut!
But in my opinion, she's actually better in this. But his and Amy's interaction is the setup for the entirety of the episode. There's also some really good sequences with, again, he's on this film set and he's watching this movie being made, and, you know, the studio executive and a studio head is supposed to give notes and try to push the production forward and to keep it steady and to be there for the directors and the actors. But there are some bad things that do end up happening, and too many hands end up in cookie jars. If you can find the humor in that situation, I promise that this episode definitely takes it up to like an 11. But you have Seth's character Matt giving notes to the director, and it's a female director, and he's like, I'm for women and this and that and the third, and she's basically just doing whatever he says just to shut him up and just to get him out of her face. And he's you can tell he's excited for the job, and he's obviously nervous of people accepting him because, again, he knows how people think and treat studio heads. Also, I like Baron Holtz being our supporting actor in the entirety of the show. But Seth and Ike's chemistry and their comedic timing, it works really well. They've worked together in other movies before, like Neighbors, which I really enjoyed. I do have a nitpick about this, and it's not going to be this way for everybody. One of them is not necessarily for me, but it's that the show is for a certain very specific target audience, and not everyone's going to understand it. But the biggest negative I do have on the show is that it is not very rewatchable at all. It doesn't drag. It is very entertaining. It may be rewatchable in the sense that I can throw it on in the background, but with the first 2 episodes alone, I just don't care for revisiting them. I'm really happy I watched them. Again, super hilarious, and I had a good time, but it's not something that I would just want to go back to. And especially with TV shows, I do tend to have my yearly rewatches, and so this I do not see being one of them. But I do feel that it is going to be a great one and done, and I do hope that it becomes a rewatchable show and that the first 2 episodes will be worth going through to rewatch the rest of the season. Now, as far as the full season review goes, I will be reviewing the entire season, but not episode by episode like I did today. I just wanted to review the first 2. I will be having another review for the show come out after the entire season is released. So have you seen the studio? If so, what did you think about it? I want to talk about it in the comments. And what is your favorite Seth Rogen movie? I'm really curious in that. I know some people, again, really like his taste, and others really do not care for his style of comedy, so I'm interested. If you like what you see here and you like my review today, you can click right over here and subscribe, and be sure to like and share this video. I have playlists, I have all kinds of videos, so go enjoy those, and I hope you enjoyed watching this just as much as I enjoyed making it for you.